Again, that was very well, I think, appreciated
I
for
think so.
that.
Mayor Holmes can sleep now.
Yes.
So at this time, go around the room for comments from elected or appointed officials. I'm gonna start with Judge Brooks. Anything?
Everything's good in the probate office.
Going to get in the
But I
probate?
will say that I really like the demo that they did on the floor.
We understand. We understand. Chuck?
Yeah, I just need 1 minute, please. Well, today is May 13th, and we'll have a tax sale on May 16th at 9 o'clock. We're at 174 parcels that are unpaid, which is, the money amount is $75,000. And the tax sale will start at 9 o'clock, like I said, on Friday, May the 16th, and you can go to our Covington County website, and you can click on the online auction, and it gives you all the information to get signed up for the auction and what parcels that will be auctioned off. We're hoping we've got today, Wednesday, and Thursday, we're going to push real hard on the 174 parcels and try to get them paid. And I've handed everybody a list, all the county commissioners a list. And if you know anyone on this list, please let me know and we will contact them. So thank you for that time.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chuck, for what you do with that. Tammy? Doing good. Susan? Good. Lynn, anything this time? Good this time. Let's go on down. We have the consent agenda, the approval of the minutes from April 17th, 2025 workshop and April 22nd, 2025 regular meeting. And also up under that, we have the approval for accounts payable and payroll for April 2025, and that is pages 2 through 29 of your package. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes and the accounts payable and payroll.
I make a motion.
Have a
To
motion by
approve.
Ms. Holmes,
Second.
second by Mr. McGahey. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Nothing under old business. Under new business, the first item, item A is consider board appointment for the Department of Human Resource Board. We had 3 names submitted to us, and I think since then, Mr. Corson?
Yes. So I contacted one of the names we were given, and she kindly said she had too much going on. And so I made another phone call, and Marcia Tomberlin is willing to serve, and I recommend that we put her on the board.
Make that form of motion that Ben does have Marcia Tomberlin.
That's correct.
He is bringing up for a motion to serve on the Department of Human Resource Board. Do I have a second?
I make a second.
Have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Do you have contact number where we can make sure?
Yes, I do.
And that way we can get her everything and get up with her. Item B is consider economic development appropriations. The first one we're going to talk about is the replacement of the $10,000 that the economic development had. It's in a line item in our budget that we could get to them if needed for certain economic development projects, so on and so forth. At this time, I think last year they had kind of entered into an agreement to possibly look at purchasing of a piece of property, put a retainer, easiest way to put it on that, for $10,000 for a year. I would entertain a motion to use $10,000 that we have in a line item in the budget to reimburse them for the amount that they've taken out of their budget to put in the retainer.
And I'd like to add as well, you know, over the course of years, I know everybody thinks I'm not all about economic development. But I know this young man sitting here has worked really hard and has brought a company to Florella that they were in desperate need of. And back years ago, I know the former commissions sometimes set aside a certain amount of money every year that if you brought us some business, we're going to give you some money. And so that's the way I consider this, that he brought us some business.
And Jacob, if you don't mind coming up, I'm going to get you up on the next part right here. I seen you when you come in this morning. But not only does he have one business coming in there, he has potential of another one.
Of a second one, that's
that
what I was,
possibly coming.
yep, that's what I was about to say. And the deal back then was if you brought us business, we'll give you $5,000. That was the incentive.
Yes, ma'am.
So since you almost got 2, that would be 10, and we got it in the budget. So can I make the motion
We have a motion from Ms. Holmes to reimburse them for basically the $10,000 they spent out of their budget for the development for possible economic.
And if you'll bring us some more, we'll think about it.
Yes,
There
ma'am.
you go.
A second.
Have a motion from Ms. Holmes, a second from Mr. McGahey. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The next item of consideration is the
CZAC?
CZAC. Yes, I was
sir.
trying to think of the thing, so I'm gonna let you go into that real quick with us.
Okay.
Okay.
Just so I can tell y'all, they're aware of it. So, we have, an opportunity, and first of all, I want to thank the commission for their financial support, with what we're doing. And, just briefly, we've got another company, that is pretty locked in on Florella and, has entered into an agreement with their, industrial board to purchase some property there, that probably be hiring over time up to about 40 more people, so that's a great thing. We're excited about that. And I get into that a little more as time goes on, but this is an opportunity that the governor had signed, for rural communities like ours for a project called the SEEDS Act. And basically, it's an opportunity for rural areas like ours that don't have a lot of sites for development to financially be able to feed that. And as y'all know, with purchasing property, number one, that's a very expensive proposition, no matter where you do it. And there's a lot that goes along with it. And so several areas around the state put up these properties, and they came around with professional site selectors and looked at them. And ours, out on Highway 55, it's 100 acres out there, north of River Falls and in between Red Level. It's a beautiful piece of property there that we're looking to execute that SEEDS Act on. And the wonderful thing about it is, basically, the percentages, it's around 70 to 75% the state would pay to purchase that property with us, which is a huge discount. We've been looking at seeing if the county was interested in managing that. And the first thing you got to do is see if it's good property to be purchased. Well, we got the approval in the selection process to assess it. So that's the first thing you do, is you have an assessment cost. And the total assessment from our civil engineers that have been looking at that is, I believe it was around $90,000, $85,000. The state, they pay 70% of that. You know, and we would only be responsible for a quarter of that, the way it breaks down. So it's just a great opportunity to be able to have a site ready for businesses that want to locate here. I don't have to scramble and try to find somewhere to put them. I know where we can put them. We got a good location. And that site was approved for several reasons. Number one, just because of the way it lays. Number two, it's got rail access through it. And as I've been proposing, timber, I believe, is our number one seller and what we got the most to give. And probably out of the last 30 referrals I've gotten from the Department of Commerce, all 30 of them have said rail was a necessity. They had to have it. So in order for us to sell our best product, we need our railroad. And we believe that would be a benefit to somebody out there. So that's what this has been. It's just an opportunity to get ahead in economic development. We're about out of buildings, and we're about out of sites. So we need something to go forward with. Is that good enough, Michael?
Good enough. And as Jacob was saying, you know, we have a couple different options. Jacob, you can stay up here just a second in case I mess something up. One of the options is to pay, what, $10,000 for another year?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because the seed program actually, what, it lasts for 2 years for that option? And
Yes,
then,
sir.
Then you kind of have to decide, from what I understand, at the very end, whether we want to proceed with it.
Yes, sir.
But the assessment you're talking about is roughly $28,138.50, and that's, like you said, for
Our portion.
our portion of the actual assessment,
Yes, sir.
to see if it would be feasible site to get water, sewer,
Yes, sir.
and
That, and if, you know, so when we assess it, the state would then look at it and say, well, that'd be worth us putting 75% into it to purchase it with us,
right.
you know. But you can't know until you do it.
So what Jacob's asking right this minute from the commission would be the $28,000 for the assessment on that property, to see if, like you said, if the state would be willing to do the 75% for the for their portion of the purchase of the property if we decided to. Any commissioners have anything?
Yes, I do. According to what I could find about the SEEDS grant, and maybe this has changed, I think it started in 2023, was the first year that the governor came in and said, we've got this money. And at that time, and I'm assuming it stayed, and maybe you can tell us differently, the match for the assessment was based on county population,
Okay.
okay? And there's 4 tiers. And according to what I could find at that time, and I'm assuming today, maybe it's different, but this was just for the assessment. It was based on county population, and Covington County ended up in the group of 12,000 to 59,999 people, which was 50 cents for every dollar.
Okay.
So that would be half of whatever the assessment amount was, would be what the county would have to pay. Has that changed?
So I believe that because I had seen that as well.
Yeah.
And the formula that we sent through the state, that number that I sent y'all is what they said we would be under, so it may have.
It must have increased in number.
Yes, ma'am.
Rather than what, I just wanted to make sure that
Yes,
we
ma'am.
understood what we're doing. Also, about this site, this is my concerns, and this is where I'm going to go with it. You know, I would love to see Red Level or River Falls, that area, have industry. I'd love to see them have business, whatever, that we can afford to get for them up there. But that's true in every area of this county. It's not just one, it's every single area. So I'm certainly not against it. But my concerns are, we know from this piece of property that we've looked at on the map, I've not been up there, I'm guessing Tommy probably has. We can't access it from 55. So something's going to have to be done there. We're going to have a right-of-way, we're going to have some way to get to the property because you've got to go up the other road. That's my number one concern. My second concern for it, and this is all not being negative, but my second concern is we don't know if that railway is going to stay or not. We know that they have abandoned the service for now, because we know it's hurt Arkland and it's also hurt Shaw. And we know that. I don't know what the chances are of the railway being rebuilt, and I'm thinking, or I understand that's what's got to happen for it to come back. So I have concerns over that. I just don't know, and I know the feasibility study, that's its purpose partly, is to find out what it would
Yes,
cost in the long scheme of things. My understanding is we can have water up there because we already have county water in that vicinity. We have, I guess, City of Red Level comes down and River Fall goes up a certain distance, so that's there. My next concern is about sewage. What company of any size is going to come in here and want to build a plant and not have access to sewage except for a septic tank? I just don't see that happening. So that's going to come in this feasibility study too, I'm assuming.
Yes, ma'am.
But I hate to hear what the dollar amount's going to be. We did this same thing when we looked at a place across the river off Plywood Mill Road. And that came back just to get sewage to that area was I believe it was $1.7 million.
I would have to look back, but it was a
Just to
substantial-
get sewage into that area. And that's going to fall back to us.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's the things that I'm looking at. What about the land clearing? I would have loved Lynn Ross to have went up there and took a look, just to give us a little estimate, just for us. Nothing that stood, but just to know. Those are my concerns, because I know in the long scheme of things, it's going to come back to the county.
I can address a couple of those.
Good.
One with the access, because I did wonder about that myself, and that was something they said, they said they didn't see an issue being able to access it from 55, but with that feasibility study, it would show it. On the rail part, if we can keep this off the record, that this has been a long process, but I had a very, very good conversation with CSX last week. CSX, if you don't know, actually owns the land that the railroad goes over. They currently lease it to a company called Genesee in Wyoming. And in our talks with them, they assured us that our service was going to remain, and they did say, and this is again going off their word, they did say that there is no reason that trains should not be running right now. They said even if they're going 5 miles an hour, they may have to be going slow. They said, but they believe they're trying to negotiate a longer lease and kind of holding out, and that's hurting our companies. And so we have talked to DC, and I literally got a call back the next day from the Surface Area Transportation Board, and they have put some pressure on them. From what I understand, I think they're going to make them start putting cars out there because, again, that's a service they agreed to provide. It's something they're under contract to provide. And CSX also told us that they have been in talks with another group that is very interested in running our line. They didn't tell me who they were, but they said they had another group that would be interested in taking on this service. That was positive to hear because I didn't know what the case of that would be either. But I am glad to see, and I think a little bit of that is through our relationships that we've built, and that's not free to do, going back and forth to Jacksonville to CSX's headquarters, but through y'all's funding and everybody else's contributions, I'm able to do that. But I think it's paid off, and you know, again, they can decide tomorrow to do something different. I know where you're coming from, but I felt really good about how they didn't act like, well, it's just not going to make it, you know. But they very positively reinforced that they wanted to see the rail here, and they would work with us diligently to try to get a good provider out there. They're pretty put out with the way they've handled this situation, and unfortunately, we're not the only community they've done that to. They've treated this rail the same as they have others, but I hope we're seeing some activity out there pretty soon if things go that way. The only thing I can say, yes, you are very correct, as we know, running sewage out there would be very expensive. When I was talking with the Department of Commerce last weekend with Caleb Goodwin with Power South that works in their economic development branch, he reminded me, he said, as it sits right now, he said it'd be very expensive because it's in a private owner's hands. He said, but the county takes that, you are then qualified for a lot of financial aid. He said, you know, there's millions of dollars out there to help get that infrastructure in there. He said, so don't get too bogged down in that. He said, once it goes into a public entity, there are things we can apply for that will majorly offset that cost. And I hope we get that far. I hope we're able to do that. But that is the one thing, and as Ms. Lynn stated, if none of y'all are aware, we don't have county sewer anywhere. You know, we got it in the towns, in Opp and Andalusia, and I believe a little bit in Florella, but there is no sewer in the county, and it's something that we need, especially for a big project. I hope that helps you some, if you didn't know any of that, but maybe, but like you, my biggest thing is I want to see that rail service running. They said it's not hazardous to the public, there's no safety concerns, they just have to go a little slower, but they think for personal interest, they're holding out on sending trains on there, and that's not acceptable. So we hope we're getting some movement on that.
Thank you, Jacob.
So-
Go ahead.
No, I just want to know, so if we okay this $28,000, will we know everything that Commissioner Holmes, will we know about the sewer, will we know about the rail? Will
Yes,
we
sir.
know about the-
Well, yeah, as far as the rail goes,
I mean, when they do an assessment, so we'll know every expense we're gonna have.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Which is the main purpose of it, so we know exactly what we're getting into. And I certainly wouldn't want to see us get into something that'd be
So there
way,
won't be any hidden costs once
Right.
we get this assessment.
no, sir.
The only thing that they would not, I feel like wouldn't be able to truly assess would be the rail, because
It's unknown.
that's unknown.
Unknown.
The company that owns that is the one who can say, okay, we're gonna shut this rail down because it's not feasible for us to fix. So that would be an unknown.
Yes,
there.
sir.
That is a major unknown about that.
All right, for this seeds grant, economic development, which is you, will have to own the property or have rights to buy the property.
Yes, ma'am.
Sole rights. So even though the county will be putting money towards it, okay, not just for the feasibility, but let's say down the road, we go ahead and we do our portion of it. The economic development's still going to own the property, isn't that correct?
I believe so. Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
I think that's the way it has to work, that the
Okay.
county can't on industrial property. So it'll always be theirs. Let's say this flounders, and we don't want it to, we want it to be great. I'm gonna be positive. But if that were to happen, do you know what will happen to us? We've lost our money. Well, now, y'all, I'm sorry, but I can't afford to do that. That's my whole point here. I've got employees sitting out here right now that are not making enough to pay their babysitters or to equipment that we need, and those are my priorities. There's not a person in District 3 right now that this is their priority. They want their roads fixed. You know, and I want to see our people be able to afford to live. And those are my priorities, and this is not it. Now, do I think we need to look at this? I do think we need to. I think we need to do some long-range planning. I really do. I think that we've not done enough with you, that we've not sat down and looked at our finances, that we've not looked at what we can do and what we can afford to do. Well, you say, well, this is 28,000 plus the 10 we just gave them, that's 38. Well, what if next year we do it again and that's another one, that's 48? Well, 48 may not be much to many people, but it is to me. It is to me. So that's where I'm at with this. Would I be willing to extend this another year? I will. That'll give us all time to know what's going on. And I just think that makes the most sense. That's my opinion. Now I'm through.
So, with all the discussion at this time, any commissioner want to make a motion on any of the options that we have mentioned, being the $10,000 for another year, to proceed with the $28,138 for the assessment? I'll be open for any type of motion.
If we continue it with another $10,000 option for another year, we're still gonna be in the same boat that year. I mean, this study is detrimental to figuring out if we can or can't use this. I mean.
Is the study being
everything-
done at the present time?
Yes, ma'am.
Then the study's going to be completed. And I think we would be foolish not to look at the study to see where we are before we do any more. I think we need to know what we're looking at. That's my opinion.
How do we get the study without the 28? I thought that was the whole reason for the 28,000 was to get the study.
They've been
How is there a study going on at this moment?
they've been a little proactive, just things they've been trying to figure out, just smaller things.
Are we gonna have access to it without
Oh,
the
yeah.
28,000?
Oh yeah, y'all have access to all of it. I mean,
There was grant money available for this study.
So again, at this time,
I think, and let me say, Ben, I think they were trying to help us as far as the timelines went. Make sure we got everything done in time. If they wanted the option to try to put in what they find out, so that we would have the option whether or not to purchase it, which is probably not going to happen this year. You know, if y'all want to take some more time, that's understandable. But it was July 1st would be the deadline to have a study done and assess it to see if we'd have the okay to purchase it.
but then the state still has to approve the siege grant.
Yes, sir.
Yes, the grant's not been approved. Look, I'm going to make a motion that if we stay with this project, that we continue it for another year. And look, that could be shortened because this study may come back and we may say, hey, this is a great deal. You know what, this is a viable project. But we don't know that right now.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna have access to the study without paying 28,000, I think it's.
Oh, well, no,
That's what you said.
yeah.
You said that we.
What I thought you meant.
meant. To the study without paying 28,000.
Let me make myself very
Yeah,
clear.
you better, 'cause
We won't, yeah, that would be the smart thing to do.
yes, it will.
That they've been trying to accommodate us and help us to get the ball rolling, so we wouldn't be put in a time crunch. But obviously, we would have to pay to see what's been done. We haven't seen anything yet, but we'd have to pay to get the feasibilities.
Somewhere in all of this paperwork we had from our lawyer, said that a portion had already been paid and that we would owe this much more or this much more down the road. Who's paid it so far? Who was-
Miss Linda, my knowledge, we have been given an invoice for $50,000. And to my knowledge, none of that has been
been
paid.
paid?
What our hopes were, we first wanted to come before the county to see if the county wanted to be a part of that and partner with us on that. And if y'all, okayed it, then we'd get it started. If not, we'd have to go find it somewhere else, is basically what it boils down to. But we had to.
Started before we were asked.
I'm not sure exactly how that went, but,
I mean, I didn't say it real loud.
that's okay.
So, a minute ago,
My motion is to extend it,
another option.
another option.
1 year.
Option one, I think that's what's on my paper.
When does
Is
the
that
first,
it?
when does the first option end? Or what's the deadline?
The first one's in July,
This
early
coming July.
Yes, sir.
And it has to be in by September 1st?
I'm not sure about that. I just know it would have to be in by July to be able to have it assessed by the state as to whether or not they would okay it to be purchased. And that we could, they pay their portion, we pay our portion. And we'll have another year from the time that option was executed to make 2 years altogether to make a decision. And I'm sorry to confuse you, Ben.
So then we would pay another 10,000
Right.
plus the 28,000.
Correct.
So then we'd be in
What I
48,000 for
just
the
said,
assessment.
it begins to build up after a while.
Yeah, so I'd,
And the thing
Wow.
is, my thought is, and Jackie just said it, if it comes where you have to pay for it by July the 1st, yada, 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 we got to figure out how to do that. That's my biggest concern. Karen, myself, the commission, everybody in her office, we have to come figure out how to come up with 200 and, how much is it, 211,000?
I think grand total, wasn't it around $270-something thousand that it would cost us in the end, if we went all in. And that's where I went back to. If we've got employees here making $12 an hour, then we need to be concerned over those first, before we worry about spending $279,000 on something that we don't even know if it's gonna fly or not.
I understand. All I would say is, again, my job is to try to bring y'all opportunities, and what y'all decide to do with them is what y'all decide
And we
to do.
appreciate, like I said,
And,
you've done a fantastic job, Jacob.
Well, I'm very thankful for y'all's kind words, and
how much property do we have left, just say in Florella and in Andalusia? How many lots for economic development?
to the acreage, Robbie, I don't know by number, I just know it's extremely minimal. I know, do you remember, brother, how much Connecticut took up?
27, well, they took up 70 acres, 73 acres.
There's not a lot left.
The last lot, I'm almost, Vanilla and the industrial park there in Andalusia, but they got 72, I think 72 or 73 acres of that portion. You got the landfill, you got several other businesses along that line. I think one lot maybe left in the back and one next to the casket factory, I think. There's not a whole, to that size, I mean, for a large development, they're gonna need that 20-plus acres. And like I said, and larger, for larger, to be a good prospect for Covenant County, it's gonna take a lot of acres to get lures and folks in. I know it's very, and that's really it, I think industrial parks on town really have.
And
And the airport, what we got around the airport is basically all been taken up already as well, so there's not a whole lot out there.
And as to Ms. Lynn, to your point, what I would like to see, and whether it's this or not, but I want to see opportunities where people can generate wealth for their
Absolutely.
families. And
Absolutely.
have a company come in and be able to provide that. And yeah, there might be slightly, I guess some risk involved, but I would never, ever encourage the commission or anybody to take some wild gamble without having your ducks in a row and know, is this feasible? Can we maintain what we're doing and not hurt the families that are dependent on us now? I think that's all extremely important. But, yeah, and just to reiterate that, Ben, they've been doing that in-house. They've been getting this feasibility, or getting the feasibility study for the property started, I guess. I don't know if it's because of the amount of work they've got on their shoulders or trying to help us meet deadlines, but we hadn't seen any of that, and we won't unless we paid it. But they're 50 into it so far, and that's why we're here today, basically. Is seeing to whether or not we want to get that started through y'all, or we'll look through another means. But I can't tell you on
Let me
enough.
ask you this, have you got the capability of someone that might could match if we put in 16,000 or 14,000 and they could match the other half of the 28?
We could definitely explore that.
I mean, I would be willing to say we'll pay half of the 28 if you could find the match, because that would only put us in 4 more thousand. And we would know, I hate either we need to do it or not, but if we keep putting money in it, kicking the can down the road, then we're no better off. Now, I'm like Ms. Holmes, I don't want to waste money at all. But if you came to us and said, hey, this entity will pay 14,000, y'all pay 14,000, I think we'd go for it. But I don't see why we should, especially, I mean, this part about us not owning the land, I mean, that scares me. If
We went
something
through
went
this
wrong.
the last time, and that's the part that really concerned
You
me.
know what I'm saying, Jacob? If you could contact some people in the county that you know, and they say, well, because we would be paying 20 at this point if we did what Ms. Holmes said.
Right.
So is this something we could table and give him a week to
That's what I
talk
was
to
gonna say.
somebody and?
Could you come up with something by maybe our next workshop?
Yeah, I would definitely try. I will say of course, because of the location, you know, I don't think, I think it would be considered from other cities as a county project, even though it may benefit their area by people being able to drive from Andalusia or or wherever to work there. But we may not have gotten a lot of feedback on that front just because of where it's located. And I know Red Level may not certainly be financially stable to put anything towards
Just
that.
see
I'm
what
not, I'm not sure, but I don't mind trying. And it may, it may come from a utility or,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we care where it comes from as long as somebody else has got a.
mhm. And I will, Ms. Lynn, verify that. I'm pretty sure that's correct. Have y'all ever seen in the past where, if something's been purchased like that, it could be deeded back to?
I think I read that in this whole Long Seeds article, that somehow in the end of it, that if we didn't, maybe if it didn't work out, that the county could take it back. And to be honest, I, didn't know what would have to happen for that to happen.
Okay.
Would that involve just signing the deed back over, or would that involve, well, if y'all give us this much money, we'll let you have it back?
Yes, ma'am.
And look, and let's go back to where this all starts for me. As we all know, this county has had tremendous debt for a long, long time. And as I am as proud to say, and I only got 2 men and a lady sitting up here with me, that this whole group sitting out here, and that's everybody, along with these gentlemen and the commission prior to this one, worked really hard to get that debt down.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to see something happen that's going to push it back up, that we're making a mistake. Because those folks back in those days, 25 years ago, they didn't think they were doing wrong. They thought they were doing the right thing. And we were up to what, almost $19 million in debt.
And
In
as of
debt.
Today, we're down to 7,
It's down, yeah, much.
maybe getting right at 7, just a touch
Yeah.
over, so.
And that's happened in 8 years. And like I said, it's due to these people that work these departments that stay within budget or less. They do without, we're doing without workers that we probably need and the equipment that they need. And that's my priority.
Well, I will go And as far, I will affirm everything that we believe to be true with ownership. I'll make sure I have that understood. I will explore and see, to my understanding, y'all would like to find somebody basically partner with you to half this assessment cost. And I guess maybe, I'm sure they'd be thinking about ownership as well if they put that into it, to half the purchase cost, which I don't know if that can be answered by somebody by now, but
Right.
somebody I'm sure would hopefully be willing to at least half it to get it assessed. We would say it's a certain day.
Which, you know, we ain't gotta have it by the next one, cause I was thinking next month, but next month would be June, so if you wanna look for 3 weeks or 4 weeks from now.
Okay,
And that will give us time enough to sit down as a group, and let's look at our numbers. See
definitely
where we
do that.
are.
And I'm pretty sure we'll have to get you in for some discussion.
That's fine. Be glad to. I appreciate y'all's time and definitely appreciate y'all's reimbursement for that. We greatly use it. But I'll get that together and see what we can do.
And appreciate what you've been doing for this county.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jacob.
Thank y'all.
All right, so
Absolutely.
we'll table that until
Get some,
we get where we can
get some
some
answers. All
information put
right.
back on there.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Jacob. Whew. I'm tired from that.
I am too.
Okay. Item C is consider declaration of surplus from the IT department and the sheriff department. That's just pages 33 through 34. I know the IT department, again, has went around and found with the sheriff a bunch of old printers. Is that correct?
Yeah, mainly printers, a few monitors, a couple of computers.
Just some stuff that I think Eric's been here for a little while, sheriff's been here for a while, and they've never been used. They just in storage in the jail that's taking up space. So we'll take that one first. The IT department, pages 33 through 34 of all those monitors, printers, and other electronic devices to be surplus. At, how we gonna do it?
To gov deals, and then anything that's not sold to be destroyed.
To be surplus on gov deals and anything that is not sold to be destroyed. So I will entertain a motion to surplus these items by those means.
All 3 pages?
We're gonna do the first ones and then we'll go to the
Just the
sheriff's.
IT.
Okay, just the item.
So IT first. So again, a motion to declare these items surplus, be surplus on gov deals and destroyed if not sold.
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion from Mr. Corson,
I'll second.
have a second from Mr. Weaver. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the next item is page 35 to be declared surplus. This is a couple of older vehicle, Sheriff. A 2018 Tahoe. The last four of the VIN is 6206, and a 1999 Econoline van. The last four of its VIN is 1113. Sheriff, no need for them anymore. To be,
The Tahoe is, Tahoe needs, repairs on it that are not feasible, and the van's just not needed anymore.
so I would entertain a motion to dispose of these on gov deals or as,
As we can dispose of them through an auction.
so again, I'd entertain a motion to declare these two vehicles surplus to be disposed of through an auction as we can get rid of them.
I make a motion.
I'll second.
Have a motion from Ms. Holmes, a second from Mr. Weaver. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And Sheriff, I'm sorry, I think we had been mentioned at the workshop about purchasing some vehicles that I did not get back on this. I know you mentioned something about,
Yes,
We added it to.
yes, that's fine.
Yesterday.
Let me just-
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, we, the sheriff's office would like to purchase, several vehicles. We'd like to replace, three of our vehicles that need replacing with, slightly used patrol vehicles that are fully equipped. We would like to open that for bid. These 3 vehicles will be paid with discretionary funds. Also, we need to replace one vehicle that's in our fleet, that is that was bought by discretionary funds, we would like to replace it with another one, and it would be a new vehicle. And we'd like to put them out to bid. We don't have availability on the state bid at this time, and we would just like to put it out for bid.
May I add that, I believe we had talked to the examiner yesterday, there's a vehicle you would like to trade in
Yes.
for that purchase, so you would need to surplus that vehicle as well for it to be traded in.
That's correct. And it was, we would probably trade that vehicle in on the new vehicle that we purchased. And it's a 2019 Ford Expedition. I don't have the VIN number in front of me right now, but I know exactly which vehicle it is.
So you would like to add to the surplus a 2019
Yes.
Ford Expedition
Right.
to be
The one-
traded
the-
in potentially.
Potentially, the one is actually operated and driven by Captain Seiler.
Okay.
So it's a,
But 3 of those vehicles were for resource officers at the
yes,
school,
and
right?
what I'll do is when I get the vehicles, I'll put them, and then I'll pull the other 3 in and surplus them as well.
So let's go back to the surplus of the first vehicle, the one that Mr. Seiler drives,
Right, the one that
Was
Mr.
a
Seiler drives, the
2019
Ford Expedition.
Ford Expedition.
the 2019 Ford Expedition. Entertain a motion to go ahead and declare that surplus to be traded in on a new.
That's correct.
So declare that vehicle surplus. For him to be able to trade it in, would have to be declared surplus.
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion from Robbie, second from Tommy, all in favor say
Second.
aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, discussion about bidding out for 3
For 3 equipped patrol cars,
that will be used patrol cars that you will buy discretionary for.
discretionary.
It goes to school resource
Goes to
officers.
school resource officers.
And then
And when we get those other vehicles in, we'll surplus them.
And then you'll need the purchase of a new one.
Okay. So,
It's 2 different bids that will have to go out because the bid packet will have to specify its used vehicle between a certain year model, similar in kind to a certain make.
okay.
And so that will be different than the one that they'll need for the new one.
So at this time, I'd entertain a motion to allow the sheriff to bid out for 3 used patrol cars, completely outfitted, to come in to go to the school resource division,
Yes,
but paid for out of the discretionary funds.
yes.
So at this time, I'd entertain a motion for that.
I'll make a motion.
Motion from Mr. Corson,
Second.
second from Tommy, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now the next one, I hope you're getting all this down, Rachel. You got it? Is the purchase of a new vehicle for the sheriff department to replace the 2019 that we have just declared the surplus that could be potentially traded in.
Purchase
That's
of
correct.
discretionary funds.
Purchased through his discretionary funds.
Purchase the discretionary funds.
I'll entertain a motion for that.
Make a motion
Have a motion from
to move
Tommy,
forward with purchase.
second.
I'll second.
Second from Robbie. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you.
The next is consider solicitation of bids for restoration of the floors of the courthouse. I know we've had a demo up there. If y'all haven't seen it, it does look great, and I think it's a service that is desperately needed.
Do we still have to bid this out?
If you do have to bid,
Didn't we get a,
the bid law states $30,000
didn't we get
per.
a bid for under 30?
Yes, but if we're
An
going to do
estimate.
additional, we received an estimate was less than 30,000. If you wish to do any other flooring renovations within the next 12 months, we have to bid.
Would that be anywhere in the county or just at the
In-
courthouse?
Anywhere in
Anywhere
the
in the
county.
county.
Any county funds spent on restoration of
Oh,
floors.
well, we got to do some more.
So at this time, I would entertain a motion to bid out the restoration of the courthouse floor. And as I said, if y'all haven't seen it, please go by and take a look at it. It's night and day difference of what it looks like.
I'll make a motion.
Motion from Robbie. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it. I was waiting on Miss Holmes since she's the floor woman.
I could have said something, but I decided I've talked enough.
We have a second from Mr. Corson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The last thing that Mr. Rawls did mention to us the other day is about proceeding with the closure of a road. Lynn,
Petition, yes.
a petition to close it. So come up real quick and let's,
I had received a phone call prior to this by one of the residents that's on that petition and asked what would be the process of vacating that road. And I think we've gone back and looked at historical photos. It's been more than 25, 30, probably 40 years since this road was, or even 50, since this road was even used. It connects Rockhold Bridge Road back over to Andy Road, right there close to Carolina Baptist Church. And I told the gentleman to just get a petition up to start the process, and I have that before you, for the commission here. And I just request that I can start the proceedings of having a public notification, and contact by mail for the utilities. We have to contact utilities, adjoining landowners, the whole notification process, and then we'll have a public hearing once that timeline is met and they've got adequate time to look and set up a public hearing date, which will be on a commission date here. So I just request that that we do that. It's an old vacated road.
You need to,
No, I pretty much know that, but it's just an old vacated road, and like I said, there's trees growing back in it. So, and what would happen once this road is vacated? There's multiple ownership on either side of that road, 'cause that's why it was done back in the day, when they broke the land up in that area, and we would just go back to the original center line, and that'd be up to a surveyor to establish the old center line of the road. And
it'll
Chuck,
be up to them to.
and that could be taken off, and it's on the tax plat. I mean, it's not being charged, but the Revenue Commission would actually start receiving revenues from that closure, and it needs to be done, so.
So Lynn is looking for a motion to proceed with the legalities of closing this road from his department, for him to go ahead and proceed with what he has to do legally to declare this road closed and resort back to the landowners. So I'd entertain a motion.
I make a motion.
Have a motion from Ms. Holmes,
second.
second from Mr. Begay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We don't have, thank you. Anything else, buddy?
That's it, other than just a few updates. We have moved the crane on the other side of the bridge, there in the Indian Creek, Horn Hill area. And we're getting the old abutment torn out today that we used as a template form, and we got it they're tearing it out right now. We'll start hauling dirt we got to reach out a little bit further with these 40-foot spans. So we'll start the dirt process tomorrow, a little wet today still, but we'll start hauling dirt tomorrow to get enough so we can get out there to that point. The paperwork on the other flat bridge are coming along. We still need the NEPA from the feds and the National Forest Service. They're doing that on their in-house. Our plans are being submitted. Our final plans are being submitted to the state for their review. Geotech has been completed on those flat bridges, and I believe the historical's already been contacted, and I think we may already have clearance on the historical side of that as too. It's just a lot of federal funds. You got to do these processes. You got to go through in order to get these
The
funds.
federal hoops you gotta jump.
Yes.
What
But,
about Opine?
Ma'am?
Opine Bridge, what about it? Where are we on it?
We're completed with the Opine. That's a maintenance job we just got through doing, and we've moved to, we're fixing to move to Potter Road and do that one on Potter. But all this is kind of underwater backfilling. We got forms here. I don't know if you noticed the forms. We got new fiberglass forms here for that purpose. They're a little bit easier to handle than the ones we used on Opine, depth of water and such reason for that. But we're spraying Kogan grass. If you have Kogan that you know of, we're trying to do a good job of spraying that right now. It's blooming right now. If you have not researched it.
You mentioned that. Would you send somebody looking at, I think it may be Cogan grass up off of County Road 7 between Heath and Mount Pisgah?
I'm sure it is.
I'm a professional at finding it.
Or
I've
you-
discovered,
Because then if
yeah.
you said that, I believe that's
Yeah.
what it could be, so you may
Yeah.
want to look.
And a lot of people don't know, they may not know what it is, but it's a very invasive grass species. It's got a white bloom. You see it, and it's marching up to Montgomery. We went to a legislative meeting in Montgomery here just the other day, and it's not far from Montgomery. It's just, it started kind of Mobile, and it's kind of creeped all the way up to almost to Montgomery now.
Yeah.
But,
South end of this county is unbelievable. It's in fields.
it's a thistle type, I say it's the thistle type seed that can be transported through the air. And you'll see it in a pasture. It may be in your woods. You haven't been in your woods in 40 years. Nothing's been there to bring it in, but you'll see a patch of it. It's very invasive type species, but if you hear about it, just contact our office. If it's on the right of way, we'll try to spray it on the right of way. So, but that and just regular maintenance on we're motor grading, and again, we're bush hogging too, so.
When will y'all start that painting, Lynn?
We're going to, probably in the next three weeks, we'll be back painting it again. So, we got a lot of bridge inspections right now. There's 30 or 40 bridges we're having to inspect this month, and one of our paint guys, he's a bridge inspector, so they're inspecting bridges today. So,
And then our spray guy is also our paint truck driver, too.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
As Lynn said, they got multiple hats.
Yes.
Multiple hats.
And I during the workshop, also sent you a proposal from IBM Solutions on spraying. And I've got Kip right now, he's putting together a cost analysis for the next commission meeting. I'll have that, or the next workshop, I'll have a cost analysis of our cost. And things I'd like to see if we do eliminate the bush hog crews. I know I've already spoken to Karen this morning about some of the tractors, about maybe repurposing those in other areas. But also the right-of-way crew. We could take that, but once I get the cost analysis, but we're looking at, maybe we could take that crew and put them towards something else that's direly needed in the county without hiring any additional employees. So that's where we are.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
We're done talk reports from staff. Let's see, go around the discussions from commissioners.
No, sir.
Mr. Weaver, Ms. Holmes. Wow, Tommy.
Yes, we're looking at you give me your time today. We've been looking at the little desk at the courthouse for the deputies there. We had passed getting it done with a certain business, and I'm gonna use the term drug their feet, and we ain't got nothing.
That's been roughly 6 to 8 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Philip has taken upon himself some initiative to get someone else to give him a price, and to rebuild the whole thing rather than repurpose it was $500 cheaper. I'd like to see us pull back from that initial company and go with this other company and get it done. Do I need to make a motion on that?
Yes.
That is my motion that we,
And I will second that.
So I have a motion, a second, to withdraw the previous commitment to a company that's been roughly 6 to 8 weeks and we've not heard anything from, and go back with a company that Philip has found that can do it in a timely manner, and it's actually $500 cheaper.
same one that just did that one
That's
to
what I was
match
about to
this.
say. Is it the same one that built
Yes.
this one?
Very quality work.
So I
Yeah,
have a
did a
motion
good
from Tommy
job.
for that, second from Ms. Holmes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, Ms. Karen,
Yes, sir.
your turn.
I'm good.
You good? I would like to say that we have got a set of financials to the state auditors, thanks to Karen and a lot of hard work. It went to our accountant that we have hired, the firm we've hired, and it took a little longer than we had anticipated. But we have got a set there, and they're ready to start working on the next one.
That's correct.
To
He's
get to
coming
him.
Thursday to meet with me and to finalize everything on the one he was working on and move forward with the next year. I did understand from talking with examiners, this is a issue that all counties are having, finding someone to prepare financial statements. They did state that another county had called around and could not find anyone that would contract with them to do their financials. I do believe the state examiner's office is trying to look at options, since this is a growing issue, because they can't audit until it's prepared. And I believe there'll be information to come in the future dates from the examiner's office on ways that maybe this will start getting moved up faster.
So I think that's great news that we got one there, and he's coming Thursday to finalize that and get started on the next year and see if we can't get that rolled out.
He
I think-
states it will not take as long, but I hope not.
Yeah, I think
Mountain's
he
got
had
the
to,
I
form
don't
built.
think it will, cause he had to put all his information.
had to build a program basically to do this,
Right.
so. But that's, some positive news from the administrative side, by all means. Anything else?
I think in our workshop, I believe that's when we're going to have our athletes.
Yes.
Is that right?
At the
So,
next workshop? So-
congratulations to those guys. There's about 8, I think.
We have about 27 total students, correct? No.
Oh,
Some of these
wow.
are state champions in track and so on.
Yeah.
We'll go all the way back to All-State in football, basketball.
Good deal.
We'll capture all of them from this year that we weren't able to get at the beginning.
We're gonna be crowded.
And one thing, if y'all noticed, one school was not on the recognition this morning was op, but they have not completed their,
They haven't announced, and I think they announced this Friday, if I heard right, so.
so if
Okay.
nothing else, maybe we can get the plaque and go to the school
Yes.
and do it there for them. So,
Ben?
Say that
Ben?
again.
thanks, Ben. Anything else?
Kyle, you gonna be going to the school?
I can go with you.
No, you go to city council meeting. That's what you have to do. I've already had to do that, okay?
Already done. Anything, nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Robbie, thank you.
Yep.
Ben, thank you for the second. All in favor, say aye.